That morning, the sunlight began to shine on the green and lush rice fields. The smell of wet soil from the morning dew and the sound of gurgling water from the irrigation channels created a peaceful atmosphere. I stepped slowly, feeling every grain of soil that my shoes stepped on, curiously heading towards the field where my plants grew. On the way, I saw in the distance a woman farmer who was busy harvesting string beans. She was wearing a simple jacket that protected her from the sun with skillful hand movements. She picked the string beans one by one, looking so focused and dedicated. As I got closer, I could see her friendly smile. Sweat was dripping down her temples, but it did not diminish her happiness at seeing the abundant harvest. In her heart, there must be a sense of pride in the hard work she had done. I remembered how meaningful this kind of work is, the intention and effort to give the best for family and community. "Good morning, ma'am," I greeted her as I stood beside her. She turned her head, and her eyes lit up when she heard the greeting. "Morning, son, how are you?" she replied, pausing for a moment from her busyness. Our conversation flowed, discussing tips for caring for plants, the weather that had been quite friendly lately, and hopes for a bountiful harvest. She told me about the challenges she faced, such as pests that sometimes came suddenly and the threat of bad weather. However, her enthusiasm never faded. She said that cultivating the land and caring for plants was part of her life, a legacy she wanted to pass on to the next generation. After chatting for a while, I asked permission to try picking long beans and she allowed me, sharing laughter and learning from each other. It felt great to be directly involved in his daily activities, and I felt closer to nature. When the long beans he picked were no longer big enough for him to hold, he would place and collect them in one place. Then he would continue picking them again. How beautiful this moment is! A picture of perseverance and a hope that is woven through hard work and love for plants. In my view, he is an inspiring figure, an icon of perseverance, love for nature, and courage. With the backdrop of green rice fields and blue skies, I captured that precious moment, a memory that inspired a life struggle. So when he returns home later, he will bring home more than just long beans, but also grains of happiness that grow in age. He said, every morning with enthusiasm, he walks to his small rice field located on the edge of the village. There, rows of long bean plants that he patiently cares for grow well. The leaves are fresh green, and the fruit hangs long, ready to be harvested. He smiled with satisfaction seeing the results of his hard work over the past few months finally bear fruit. He also said, he had to sort out which ones were ready to be harvested and which ones still needed time to grow. The warm morning sunlight accompanies his every movement, while the sound of birds chirping in the distance adds to the calm atmosphere in his rice field. These long beans will later be sold to his regular collectors, who have been his trusted partners in selling his agricultural products for years. He is confident that his harvest this time is quite good and can provide enough income to meet his daily needs. When he gets home, he immediately packs the long beans neatly. He wants to make sure that the quality is maintained when it reaches the collector. After everything is ready, he takes his harvest to the collector. Although the journey is quite tiring, he is still grateful because he can still work and earn a living from farming. When he arrives at the collector's place, he hands over the long beans and receives payment for his hard work. The money he receives will be used to buy basic necessities, pay for electricity, and save little by little for other needs. For him, farming is not just a job, but also a part of his life. Every plant he plants brings hope, and every harvest he gets is proof of his perseverance and patience. Although life as a farmer is full of challenges, he continues to try and is grateful for what he has achieved. She is a hard-working farmer who depends on her crops for her living. Not only does she grow long beans, she also manages other rice fields that are planted with chilies, rice, and beans. With enthusiasm, she and her husband tirelessly cultivate and care for all the rice fields and their plants. He farms not just to earn income, but also to show his love for the land and nature. Although the weather is often unpredictable and the harvest sometimes fluctuates, he remains grateful and never gives up. Every drop of sweat he sheds is an investment for the future, both for himself and his family. With full hope, he always awaits the next harvest season, ready to plant, care for, and harvest the crops that are the source of his life. He is not only a persistent farmer, but also a figure who is known to be kind in his village. Although his life is simple, he always tries to share with the people around him. For him, the harvest is not only sustenance for his own family, but also a blessing that can be enjoyed together. Every time his harvest is abundant, he does not hesitate to set aside some to be shared with neighbors in need. Likewise, when the chilies he planted start to turn red and are ready to be harvested, he always remembers his neighbors who may have difficulty buying chilies at the market. In his village, he is not only known as a persistent farmer, but also as someone who is always willing to help others. Although he himself does not always live in abundance, he believes that sustenance will be even more blessed if it is shared. Every step he takes in farming is not only to earn a living, but also as a form of concern for others. For him, the land he works on not only produces food for his family, but also becomes a source of happiness for the people around him. And that is what keeps him enthusiastic about working, not only for himself, but also to share kindness with others. That's all the stories in the rice fields this morning. Thank you very much for watching this video. See you next time.